Okay, so today I have the honour of Rose Jackson, the Minister of Housing's come out to give some of her time to have a walk through the streets with me, to have a look at some of the issues that I see here in Sydney. And hopefully by starting the conversation, we can maybe get a few things to change. So Rose Jackson, thank you so much for
It's an honour
coming
for
out.
me to be
No,
with you, mate. Thank
thank
you.
you, thank you. So we're just going to go through. There's a street, an alleyway just here that I've done a lot of work on with some of the people that live here. And I just want to go down and show you a few things that I've seen and what I think maybe we can get some things happening to change this stuff. So let's go and have a walk.
Love to.
Okay, so the first thing so we notice from here is
Yeah.
this is a vacant house.
Yeah, so how long's this been like this, do you think?
This has been vacant for nearly a year.
Okay.
Now, I'm aware that there's structure
Sure.
problems with this one,
Yeah.
but as I said, this one's been vacant for a long time. Now, when we walk down, what I find when we walk down here, and I want to make this very clear to my viewers, is you've got a big job. There is no way you can be looking after all this yourself, knowing exactly what is going on here. It's an impossible thing. And what you've got here in Housing Commission, you've got all different kinds of things. You've got substance abuse,
Yep.
mental health issues, people with no family, unemployment,
Yeah.
people, people trying to have a go. You've got all these kind of things mixed into this situation. And the things that I'm finding, if we start, we'll probably start at this place here. So the first one is behind this here is a lady called Angela.
Yep.
I've cleaned up this yard twice for her in the past year.
Oh, but yeah, look
Now,
at it.
there's as you can see, it's overgrown.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of things going on with Angela.
Sure.
She's a lovely lady.
Sure.
What support is she getting from the services? Is what
You don't
concerned.
think it's
I don't think
much.
there's enough support going on here. When you've got a lot of things going on with someone,
Yeah.
this is the last thing on their mind.
Absolutely.
And but the thing is, some of these they can't do it. So when we move on to this, I'm going to say some suggestions of what I think. But I'm just going to keep going and showing you a few things before we keep going. Now, as I said, when we go to this place here, this is vacant. This has been vacant for over 4 years.
Yeah.
And just recently, I've cleaned this multiple times. I was only here recently cleaning this up. This was all full of weeds and whatnot.
Yeah, looks tidy.
It's been renovated a bit inside, but even before the renovation, this was completely broken glass. It had all these things going on. No one had come out here and touched it. And I think what concerns me the most here on something like this is with all the families out there that actually want a place to live in.
Yeah, that's what concerns me too.
Why
We've
is
got
someone
it,
not in there?
Yeah.
This should have been moved on a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Now, when we turn around here and we look at this next one,
Yeah.
over there, you can see the roofs. You can see there's the old roofs, and then there is up there's a nice clean roof.
Yes, I can.
Now, this lady that lives here, she waited there was a leak in that roof. She waited 8 years for that to get repaired. 8 years.
When was it repaired? Do you
It
know?
was only repaired about a year ago, and now she has leaks in it again. So, and this is, and I mean this with all respect. As I said, I talk to a lot of these people. The lady in here, she's been here for a long time. She's a really nice lady.
Yeah.
One of the ones in here that's just having a go,
Yeah.
doesn't cause a problem, pays the bills, everything, all that. Nice lady, but she's getting nowhere with anything like that. So this is just 3 places.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang next to each other, that it's like, what's going on? So I think the problem,
Yeah.
and as I said, when we walk down here, it then can go into properties where it starts getting a bit, it gets a bit,
Sure, but I mean, I think what's interesting about that is just 3 properties within a very small area that speak to a range of the issues that we've got. One, that casework support for people, someone that's struggling. And you can see, even though you've done her yard a few times, it's back to being, pretty messy. She can't manage it herself. You've got a vacant property, which, as you say, well, we've got thousands of families who need a place to stay, and you've got maintenance issues. And you know, the maintenance issues, I know, and it's great to be here and really see it. And I try and come out as much as I can, just how significant they are.
Yeah. So
huge backlog.
This is all housing. So we'll keep going down. So the thing that I g'day, how are you?
Hello.
So when we walk down here, so what happens is I get a lot of the people here, they call me up, or they'll send me a message, can you help, can you help? And I look at it as, and you're going to have two sides of the argument here, I look at it as, I want to help people out because I know what it's like. I've shared, I've lived on the streets before, I know about this lifestyle, but I'm also for, there's only so much I will do. You know, people need to also be held accountable for their own, you know, for their own thing. They are given a place through housing. From where I sit, I look at it as they should be looking after it, maintaining it, and doing their best. That's how I also look at it. But unfortunately, when you bring in the other things, there's a lot of things.
It's hard, isn't it, Nathan? Because you're right that we've got thousands of people who want a place to stay, and sometimes if people have got a house and they're not doing their bit. But on the other hand, as you also have pointed out, if there are reasons for that, if there is an explanation related to mental illness or substance abuse, we've got to acknowledge that that's a real barrier.
Yeah.
But okay, what have we got here?
So this one here, this has got rats, it's got all kinds of stuff in here. This has been like this for months. They've asked me to clean it up, and I've, I want to help, but there are places here that I know it doesn't matter what I do, I'm not going to be able to help the people that are inside. I know that. And that's where I turn around and I look at stuff like this and I'm like, where are the services coming out here? Which goes back to one of my other videos, is why are there not routine inspections being done? We had this conversation here on the phone a while back. I personally feel that there are services like Link Wentworth, from where I sit, I would put the broom straight through them all. That's how I look at it, and I'm being honest. I feel that there are people there that are getting good money that are not doing their job. I feel that a lot of money that, you must have a budget or something that you're allocated, which from my understanding, I don't think there's enough money put into this.
No, look, there's not, but there is a maintenance budget. So you're right to say, I make the case, look, there's not enough, I sort of hassle to get more, but there is a maintenance budget, and it's disappointing to see, that it's clearly stretched so thin or not being allocated in the right ways. Yeah,
and that's where I look at more whoever's, in charge of all that stuff, why they can't put some more money into this, because it seems to me, and I might be wrong, but it seems to me that a lot of money that is going into all this stuff seems to be getting tied into these services like Link Wentworth that are taking this money in admin or whatever is going on, and there's all this stuffing around going there but not actually going into what needs to be done. So when we see stuff like this is just a suggestion that I have, and I don't know, and it could be a tricky one, but it's like, how do we fix things like this? Because when we walk around here, we're going to see a lot of overgrown lawns, and this is only a small area. When you go out to the bigger places, I've been out to like Mount Druitt and that, these are
on steroids.
Yeah, and it is a little house on a massive block that is. There's so much space here that could be utilised a lot better. Is how can we fix stuff like this? How can we put in something like, it's just a suggestion, I don't know. We've got people that are in jail that are on their way out. They're fit, they're looking for a job, they need something to help them get out, because a lot of people don't have something in place. How can we not get a crew or something, have them employed, have them coming around and mowing lawns or something like that here, give them something to do, giving back to the community on minimum wage, whatever it is, but giving them hope, cleaning up the community, and, where we're just trying to utilise money. Like, it's just a suggestion, but how can we need to do something here? This is just...
Yeah, I think it's a good suggestion. Currently, partly, as I've said, the maintenance budget's stretched thin. So currently, we don't really do anything on people's lawns on their private property. Like if they've got a leaky roof or a broken window, we should be getting in there and fixing that. And it's really important to hear where that's not happening. But things like lawns, at the moment, we just say, oh, well, you know, I mean, it's your property and
Yeah,
your
yeah,
responsibility. And in one hand, that makes sense, as you say, people needing to take some responsibility. But on the other hand, I think it's really valuable to hear your experience of that's just not working,
yeah.
you know, and we just see this as a consequence of that. And how can we take that next step and say, no, we've got to move beyond just, okay, basic maintenance to actually ensuring that our properties are kept to a standard that's, you know, dignified.
Yep. And as I said, like one thing about this property, when I look at it, like what I don't understand is when I walk through all these places, you can see from outside straight away. Like you can walk past
Yeah,
here and
you've
you
got a
can
problem.
see something's going on here. I can see something's going on, but I can see the fence has been kicked down or whatever's
Yep.
been happening here. Now I look at that and go, well, something's happened here. It's not that I'm looking at, oh, we need to help them. I'm looking at, well, someone needs to be held responsible. Who's damaging property here? You know, this is unacceptable. And if there is people that are doing that, from where I sit, I believe there should be a three-strike thing or something, regardless, that says if you're not looking after properties that are given to you by the government, then if you're a repeat offender, then you need to be, see you later,
Yeah.
sorry, and a family that is out there that's struggling, that
Yeah.
genuinely wants to look after this, should be put in. That's how I look at it. But as I said, I can see here, overgrown lawn, rubbish everywhere, beer cans everywhere, this kicked in everywhere. The first thing I'd be doing is, as a welfare person, is I need to go knock on that door and see what's going on inside. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm not understanding from all these properties that I'm going to. There's not checks done on these properties. There's not there's just no inspections done. As I said, when you rent, you have an inspection.
We are meant to be doing, I mean, so properties like this, which are, you know, Homes New South Wales properties, we are meant to be doing annual inspections. But again, clearly, you know, first of all, I suspect that those inspections are the most, whether they happen, again, I think it's really important for me to know with hundreds of thousands, whether they're actually happening. But also, if they're happening, I suspect it's a knock on the door, oh yeah, you're okay, basic. This stuff, they just kind of, you know, it's not dealt with, it's not addressed. It's a little bit like, oh, well, it is what it is, you know, and
Yeah.
I think those low standards are a problem.
Yeah,
You
and,
know?
and that's the thing. Like I see this because I'm out here a lot. I'm
Yeah.
seeing with this section. I'm seeing a lot of where things are not happening. And I guess if I'm living next door, and I've spoken to the tenants and whatnot here, and I've been in there, I've seen rats. I don't want to be living next to that.
No.
To be quite honest, it
Understandable.
is not. It is not clean. It is not healthy. You know, you can see the rubbish and all of that, the flies, everything. These kind of things need to be addressed, and this is where it goes back to who are the services that are in charge of this. As I say, it's not you're the minister. You can't look after every single individual house on your own. There are teams involved. What are they doing? Because from where I look at it as they're not doing enough,
Yep.
and they're not doing it, and that's what needs to, in my opinion, needs to be changed. But as I said, and I keep stating, I state to the camera, I appreciate that Rose has come out here. I really do. You know, it's good for her to see, which you are aware of some of this stuff anyway.
Look, I am, and you know, I do try and get out, you know, and as much as I can. But I think, you know, you're right. Part of, you know, being the minister is, you know, you sort of desperately try to make sure that you break through the kind of the ivory tower and the dislocation from what's happening on the ground. But it is a struggle.
Yep.
Partly because, you know, it is a busy job, but it's just so valuable to have the opportunity to just take a walk and have a chat with someone like you,
Yep.
Nathan, who's really just doing it all the time and has such a kind of deep, up to your elbows understanding of the issues.
Well, you can see as
Yeah.
we're walking past, you can see, you know, the overgrown yards through the fence. You can see it's all common.
Yeah,
So that's the thing.
very
That's the thing. So, what I look at it is, they don't get a lot of money. Okay, for whatever they're in here.
You mean
not
the
by
tenants? Yeah.
they're in here obviously not by choice. They're in here because something's happened in their life. And there are a lot in here that try to do the best. They're respectful. They, you know, they keep to themselves. Now, another thing that I see a lot in here, which I sit here and I cannot for the life of me understand, is you've got, for instance, and this is not this house, but it's an
Sure.
example. You've got an old lady here that's, 70, 80 years old. She's been in Housing Commission for 40 years or something, pays the bills, doesn't cause
Yep.
a problem, whatever. Then all of a sudden, they decide, and that's what I don't understand, who's making these calls? Let's put a man in his 50s that's been in and out of jail or something right next door that's got a history of mental health, extreme, drug abuse to the extreme, on ice, whatever. We stick him right next door that is abusing everyone in the neighbourhood, whatnot. This lady's too afraid now to
She's
come out.
terrified. These are the stories I hear a lot, actually, Nathan, and it is done by local allocations teams. That's the ones making the decisions that you're describing. And again, this is an example of those local allocations teams right across the states and making decisions. I can't possibly sort of, micromanage every one of
100%.
those hundreds of thousands of decisions. But I've heard these stories, and it's really important for you to call them out as well, that they have real impacts on neighbours and lives of people who were stable and happy and getting by and having a go, completely upended.
Yep.
So we are looking at this, and I'm really interested in this, and I've had a number of conversations. I mean, your old mate here who is in his 50s and has got mental illness, what are we going to do for him? Because if he's not living somewhere, he's homeless, and we don't want that. But on the other hand, this woman, in this hypothetical, she deserves a safe and stable place to live too.
100%.
So that allocations, it's called, is a real gnarly issue, and interesting to hear how much that's kind of been brought to your attention as well.
Yeah. Well, the reason why it gets to my attention is because when I'm out here cleaning up some of these yards, I can cop the abuse from these people, and these guys are literally high on ice, high on drugs. You know the effect that that is. It's now escalating to another level. I'm lucky. The reality is I can handle myself. I know how to deal with these situations. But people like the older lady, they don't, and they're afraid, and they're in there. And I totally understand the mental health side of things, totally 100%. But again, I also look at it two ways. You've got a place here to live. This is not a place to terrorise the neighbourhood. Yep, we can put services in place, but if this is happening, you need to be moved on. I'm sorry, but I'm more caring about the older lady here than a guy that's choosing to take drugs. And then it goes back to these services under you. They have the paperwork in front of them. I think it's unacceptable that they are making these calls to do this. That's something I feel needs to have a good look at. I just can't, for the life of me, comprehend who are doing this. It's just I'm lost for words on that. But as I said, so that's another thing that I hear common. And as we're going back to the other thing we've said about the maintenance is, it's the same thing I hear over and over, and it's just been happening for decades. Is they have an issue inside in their home. They call up a number. They're on hold for an hour plus, lucky to get through. They're getting frustrated already on the phone.
Sure.
Then they're promised someone's going to come out if they get that. They're lucky with that. And then they're waiting years for something similar to get fixed, and it doesn't get fixed.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree. Again, heard this a lot. I mean, I'm completely redoing our maintenance contracts because not only is that happening, the current model is costing us, a lot of money. And as you said, there is a budget for that, and we're paying these contractors to allegedly do this work. And I'm like you, I get a lot of letters, phone calls, emails of people saying it's just not happening. And so I think, that it's unacceptable to me what's been happening in maintenance, and we are looking at just really turning that on its head. And also, currently, the number that they're calling, that person that's spoken to, that's outsourced. That's some call centre somewhere. That's not, I can't even be responsible for that, even in theory, because it's not even within the government. So I'm trying to bring that back in. I mean, still, I won't be across every phone call, but at least that accountability of like a government entity is actually managing that, so that there is a line where you can say from the minister, no, here's our expectations, the call's answered, someone goes. I don't think that's unreasonable.
And then that goes back to what I was saying. People are on the phone, they're getting annoyed. And then it's like, oh, you're at fault. We're blaming Rose Jackson. And that's like, well, no, I don't agree that it's your fault. I look at it more as these services, what's happening. And again, I think you also got to look at the tradesman as someone that has my own business. that has, you know, done all this for many, many years. You know, I've worked through NDIS, I've worked through all these services. The onus has also got to be on these tradespeople that are getting in. They seem to be taking a lot of money and they're not doing the job properly.
I agree with that. I've heard a lot
And
of stories.
that's not okay too. And then they half fix a job, they leave it, and then they don't come back and fix it. And the call centres that they're calling, they don't care. And that's the other thing. I'm only here today. The reality is, I'm only here today because I have a big following on social media that you know, we can chat. I have a voice. But there's thousands of people out there that don't have that don't have a voice, and they're sitting at home right now, frustrated, saying this is not okay. And as I said, a lot needs to be done here. And I personally feel you need to be allocated more money. You do. We are wasting money, this government, on so much nonsense that doesn't need to be wasted. Footy, and I'm a footy fan. Footy, and I'm a big fan. West Tigers. That's you know.
Oh no, man.
You know, but we're getting stadiums and stuff built that don't need to be built, millions of dollars, where we could be putting that on local communities that would sort things out. It's disgraceful. Disgraceful.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I of course agree with you that I should get more money. But I think the other point that you made that really resonates with me is that cycle of frustration. So we're talking about vulnerable people, hours on the phone, work not getting done. That feeds that anger, that resentment, like, you know, those issues that we've talked about, some of that those underlying challenges. They don't feel respected. They don't feel listened to, as you said. They don't feel like they have a voice. Yeah, they're going to be angry. And, you know, I think people have got to understand that that's a cycle that we put people in. If we actually did just listen to them, respond to their issues in a timely way, showed them that respect that you show them, if government was able to do that more, I think, you know, a lot more people would be able to stabilise, as opposed to just be angry and frustrated all the time.
And as you said, there's a key word here. And what I notice when I come to these places, and I always say it's about respect. These people have come from a hard life. Some of them have made some poor choices, there's no question, but they're here where they are now, and there's a lot of shame, there's a lot of things going on here, and they're fighting, they're fighters, you know, they're out here fighting for $1, you know, they're collecting cans, they're doing all these kind of things, and they want some respect, and they don't get it. They go into that cycle of how do they react? Not all, but a lot will react to old behaviours or whatever. Anger. They come out now. They're kicking things down. They're causing havoc in these streets. And as I said, this is a big issue. It's going to be a hard one to tackle. But I'm just trying to highlight a few basic things that I believe should be fixed. Should be fixed immediately. And a lot of it's going back to funding, going back to these services under you that are not doing their job. And you know, that place. You know, that place that video I put up with that with Adam. So he was found. He went missing. He was found. Now, if we went back to that place now, it's all boarded up. The rubbish is still inside. So basically, the issue hasn't been fixed. There's been a Band-Aid put on it. It's still a fire hazard. It's still all that stuff. And God knows what the bill is of Link Wentworth to get out there and just do that little bit of nonsense. It's just, as I said, it's frustrating. But anyway, as I said, we'll keep going. A question I'd like to ask you is, what got you into, what made you decide to go into Minister of Housing?
Well, I mean, I've always been passionate about like housing as the kind of core, you know, need that people have. You know, obviously I'm interested in sort of politics more broadly. Oh, watch out, Kelly. Yeah, like, you know, I mean, it sounds a bit naff, doesn't it, Nathan? But, you know, I've been passionate about politics as a way to change people's lives and the world from the better and all of that. And as I was kind of thinking about that, I really feel as though housing is the core to that, because, you know, you can't finish your education, you can't get a job, you can't, you know, deal with your health issues if you're homeless, if you don't have good housing. So I've always been passionate about housing as that core issue. And I guess what I'm also passionate about, and why I really, you know, appreciate working with you, is that, you know, we're not making that work for people. Like, I think that can work. I think that idea that if we get people housed with respect, with dignity, with stability, that can unlock so much for their lives. But if we're not doing that properly, then we are trapping people.
See, when I listen to you, and I've read a bit about you, and I've watched some videos and whatnot, and I've seen a lot of people come and go. I've seen a lot of the MPs, and I think what the public get annoyed about is they see a lot of talking
Yeah.
and they don't see action. And I'm one that I advocate. I always try to back up what I do through my social media. I'm out there. I'm not just talking it, and I respect what you do. I like I like you as a person. I think you've got such a hard job. I wouldn't want it. I'd be honest. I wouldn't want it. I think there's so many problems here, and I think what's also annoying me here is I think you deserve more supported things from the government to be able to take this. Because if you haven't got the right support, how are you going to fix it?
Yeah.
And I think that the government needs to step in here a little bit more and say, you know what, we do have a problem here. We have a housing crisis. We have homeless people, here, all that. We've got issues with the places that you can see.
Clearly.
And you need some more support to be able to run this properly by financial, by the right systems in place. And I think if that is put in place, then your job's going to be a lot easier, as in, and a lot more positive stuff is going to happen. Not saying that it's not saying that I'm not saying you haven't done a good job. You've done some fantastic stuff.
But there's a lot to do.
Yeah,
I accept that.
And the thing is, as I said, I go out. I can name many housing commission places. Another one I go to a lot is out at Tilapia.
Oh yeah.
Now that's been there for a long time. Now these places, they're on massive blocks. They're a little house. The lawns are huge. These people can't do it. It just gets overgrown. It's a jungle. Now this is the normal in the street. There are so many properties out there that are vacant. Literally every second house out there is vacant. Been vacant for ages. Okay, if they're going to be vacant because for whatever reason you're going to be knocking them down or whatever's going to happen, they're still livable. Why are we not sticking a family in?
Yeah. That issue about using them temporarily, or because in places like Tilapia, we do have plans to turn that into a much more viable, positive community, new homes, etc. Right, which is good. But yeah, I mean that takes time, and that issue about in that time we've got these vacant homes and these thousands of people. So we are looking. I've asked the team to look at what we can do in terms of having use of those properties in the shorter term.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really good point.
Because as I said, rent, whatever, everything is so high these days, and the reality is you are seeing families out there that are sleeping in cars, and I know there are people out there that if they were given the opportunity to have one of these places, they would treat it with absolute respect, and then that goes back to the other side of the mental health and the drug addicts and alcoholism, whatever, is I feel that there needs to be more put on the people that are taking advantage of these places. As I said, I've come from both sides. I stress that very clearly, but I'm also...
But I think
there's
that's why
only
your voice is
so
important.
much. There is only so much that you can do before the onus is on the tenant.
Yeah.
And if they cannot do the right thing, I'm sorry, but I believe they need to be told, see you later.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And a family that will respect it needs to be put in there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, strikes, you know what I mean, like warnings, I think is valid. The challenge is, as you know, and you've seen it from both sides, a lot of these people, if we evict them, they're homeless. Because, they don't have anywhere else to go, which is hard. But I agree with you. We've got to have a system where people are held accountable for their actions, given the support. And I think that's maybe the bit that's not working either, but nonetheless, given the support. But ultimately, it's unacceptable to me to see people who don't, treat... This is, public property, right? Like
100%,
you and I own this as
100%,
taxpayers. Everyone owns this. This is public property with a level of respect, and so many do. For those that don't,
there are a lot that do. There are a lot that do. There are the few that don't, and this is a property that is given to them out of goodwill. They're choosing the substance abuse or whatever. That is by their choice. At the end of the day, it is their choice. They're coming out here kicking and carrying on and causing damages. No, I feel that is unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but there is no tolerance for that, because if I'm renting in a property and I carry on like that, I'm gone, and they're not going to care less if I'm homeless.
Yeah, I know.
And I think that there is also a point that we need to start holding the people accountable and setting the example that you know, there are standards here and they need to be followed. I'm knocking on their door saying, hey, I'll clean up your yard. And then that goes back into, can we get some packages? Some of these people are waiting on these, you know, NDIS or whatever. They're senior citizens. They're on there for a year or two and nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So the next thing that goes back to, and it's going to be in everywhere, and I do frown upon this, and I'll say that happily, is I know where there's going to be a drug dealer in these streets. Yeah. I know exactly where the house is. The reason I know is because you can see the people coming and going 24/7. You can see them on drugs coming and going. You can see. Everyone knows where they are. I'm not a fan of drug dealers because you're providing something that's affecting kids, that are affecting that, destroying lives, destroying families. So I'm not a fan. Couldn't care less. The people that are choosing to take them, well, it's sad, but that's their choice. But we know where they are. Now, people aren't going to speak up because of the code and whatever. But why is it that we're allowing them? As I said, you can see it clearly where they are. For me, they should be evicted. I don't care if they're on the streets.
Well, they should be arrested.
Yeah. Why are they living here?
Yeah.
And again, they're put next to a house where there's an old person right next to them.
Well, I mean, this is an issue of not only should they be evicted, I mean, they should be arrested. And we do try, but often, as you say, and this is the fear, this is the problem, people don't speak up. So, you know, someone like you who's got that confidence and that voice, if you could, you know, bring it to our attention, because I accept your point of that. People know, but sometimes they won't tell me. They're like, no, whoa, the minister, this is scary. I'm worried for my own safety. And I get that. And so we need to try and create places and spaces where people can say, look, everyone around here knows it's over there. That maybe they won't say that to me. Maybe they won't say that to government because they're really scared. But maybe, you know, someone like you or others, community, they can get that information and then we can get it flowing. Because, absolutely, we need these guys out of our properties. Like, we don't want...
I agree.
You know, we got no time for that.
And I don't care if they're watching and they don't like this. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, public housing is not for drug dealers.
It's not okay. Because I'm the one out there seeing these kids that are on drugs coming up and asking me if I got something, and they're 14, 15-year-olds. You know, where's their path go? They're going down a road of crime. They end up in jail. You know, it's horrible. And you know, these houses out here, you know, these dealers that are in the local community, they're in a house. So all the ones that are on here that are on drugs, they're all going there. So the whole community's just getting taken down because of these few. But anyway, as I said, there's...
No, it's an issue. I know that. Yeah. And, you know, as I said, you know, we try and have systems, but I understand why people might be a bit scared or something.
Oh,
you know, it's scary.
And as I said, I come out here, I work.
Yeah, you're deep.
I've been abused multiple times by some of these guys, and women too. I've copped it all. Like, I've had some serious altercations with some of them. And as I said, if I was an older person or something, I would be frightened. So, like, you know, as I said, we walk through here as we're sort of heading back to where we were. When we walk through here, I know a lot of these residents because I've knocked on their door. Some want my help, some don't. And that also comes into the next part where if they don't want your help, well, then there's only so much you can do.
Yeah. And it's a little bit, as you say, like, we've got an issue with inspections and support services. But I will say, to the extent that that does happen, not adequately, we also struggle, Nathan, with sometimes identifying people who need that, saying, what help do you need, and then telling us off. You know, and so then it's like a trust building thing that takes time. But, you know, it is hard, as you said. It's a big job. But, you know, people should know that there are definitely instances where we've tried to intervene and been told, you know, no thanks. This is here, you know, this is a disability modification that's been done. So that's good to see, you know, someone in there needs a ramp and we've put that in.
So you've seen some, you know, I've seen some of that, and I've seen some of them lately where, you see the rails and all that kind of stuff going up. But as I said, I just don't understand when you've got these services. When you go for a walk here, and we have, you can tell, as I've said it before, you can tell from looking at the place. You know, you can tell. I mean, you know. Okay, this looks all right. Well, that looks good.
Someone over there.
And you can see the one where there's stuff all going on. You know, well, there's something going on here, and that's the ones that I feel, get these services involved.
And it is just straight up, as you've said, in a lot of instances, just a money question or a resource question. Like,
Yep.
there's too much, and it's stretched too thin. And so that's why you're right to just say, well, government's got to reorder its priorities, because if the answer is, yeah, we kind of know that people need help, but we don't have enough capacity to provide it, where does that leave us?
So who's stopping you when you're requesting for this money? Who are the people that are who's shutting this down, saying no? Because you can clearly see there's a problem. And if you're going to go football stadium to this stuff, I think this stuff really, at the end of the day, is more important, because when they're all right, then they can go and enjoy a football game and whatnot. So who is the people that are saying
it's
we're not
even one
going there?
individual, Nathan. It's not like there's one person. But I'm in a cabinet with 22 ministers. A government with 50 or 60 MPs, and everyone's got their piece, their priority, and so it is about balancing that with my colleagues. So it's not fair to say that there's one individual that's like shut that down. But it is fair to say that, as government as a whole is looking at the hospitals and the schools, it's a democratic system, right? When the people, your viewers and the people, start saying, no, this is the priority, we want action on this, like, governments do listen, they do respond. But, when that noise, in a way, isn't being made, well, other priorities, bump up.
And it seems to be that there's, as you said, how many roughly properties are there, roughly number in Sydney, a housing commission? Or
95,000.
95,000.
With about 150,000 residents, because obviously some of them got multiple people. Yeah.
So again, that highlights that there is no way possible you can be managing every single one, especially with not much of a massive budget as well. So there's a lot of people that are, there's stuff going on here that's not being seen. A lot of mental health, a lot of drug, addiction problems, all that kind of stuff, and a lot of vacant properties. So we need to fix this. And I'm hoping, as I said by today, I thank you so much for coming out with me. I'm hoping that today we can start making a change, or get these conversations started, and not just talk about them and then they're forgotten about in a week. Actually put into places. And as I said, for me personally, the way I look at it is, these systems underneath you, they need a real microscope under them. There is too much money being wasted in these services that are not clearly doing the job. They're not, and they cannot come here and say to me and say they are, because they are not. And we need to change that. The families that are not doing the right thing need to be held accountable for, and the families that are doing the right thing and need some help need to have some support and not be waiting for years. And the maintenance people that are not doing the job need, they need to be called out for this, and we just need changes.
Yeah. I reckon two things. I really agree. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate
it. It's been such a valuable use of my time. Two things, I guess, because I agree. I don't like talk and no action, I think. And yes, people are sick of that from politicians. In the short term, you've got my number. I want you to continue to call out the individual instances. This is a failure. This isn't working.
I got no problem doing that. Trust me.
But we also good.
They may not like me. I probably got strikes against my name already, but
I
it doesn't worry
welcome
me.
that. Please, in the long term, we need system change, right? Like, we need to get to a system where it's not this stuff happening, and you having to, or and others do too, calling me. And that system change piece is a bigger piece. That's a longer term piece. But I think using your platform, and your reach to kind of highlight that and raise the profile of that beyond just you and me talking, like talking more broadly, that's what leads to that system change. So I think, I am hopeful that if we can continue that, we can get things working in a better way. But in the short term, absolutely keep doing what you're doing.
Because this all branches out into so many different areas. It branches out to the people that are home that could actually, let's call it for what it is. There are people that are here that can work. I see it because I'm out there seeing them in the day, running around, whatever. They can work. But they're allowed not to. And that's a shame, because the sad part is what I see also, to wrap this up out here. And this is only a small little area. This is actually quite clean, to be quite honest, compared to some of the places that we see. But I think the saddest part is there's a lot of people that I see on a daily basis that have some very sad stories, that are struggling. And you know what? If they had a bit of help and support, they'd be happy.
Yeah.
And imagine if they were happy, how much better it would be for everyone around, and it would change the community. And I just think, to finish it off, that I think the Australian government need to really step up here and start helping and supporting and changing this and not talking about it, because there is too much talk. And to Rose Jackson's credit, she's come out here today to meet me, and I appreciate your time and I thank you so much.
Mate, my pleasure.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.